Whenever I'm out four-wheel driving, there's always a few things I always take with me, and one of those is a good quality air compressor. Having an air compressor on board gives you a huge amount of versatility with things like tyre pressures for starters. One of the best ways of improving your vehicle's tractions, for example, particularly over driving over things like rocks and sand and so forth, is to deflate your tyres down to a sort of an appropriate pressure. Of course, if you're doing that, it's very important that when you head back onto the bitumen, you're able to re-inflate the tyre back up to road pressures, otherwise you'll do your tyres a lot of damage very quickly. So that's one of the things we use compressors for all the time. When you're driving out here in this sort of country, you know, 1 minute you're on the bitumen, then you're on gravel roads, then you're on sand, then you're on rocks, you really need your ability to adjust your pressure to suit those varying terrains. So an air compressor is an absolute must. Of course, the other benefit of having an air compressor with you is that if you have a puncture, providing you've got good quality tyre repair equipment, you can basically repair the puncture and then use the compressor to re-inflate the tyre afterwards. Compressors come in various sizes, and of course there's a variety of different brands around as well. I can't stress enough with this sort of equipment, you really want to buy quality. Buy the very best you can afford. I mean, compressors like these particular ones are both made in Australia. Consequently, all the parts are fully serviceable. The compressors are fully rebuildable as well. This unit here would probably be the most popular one on the market. It's nice and compact. It's available either as a vehicle mount compressor or as a portable unit like this one here. And then basically to use it, it's just a case of using the alligator clip straight on the battery. You've got about 5 or 6 metres of air hose there, so it'll get right the way around the car. And you can also get extension leads for the hose as well. So if you've got a camper trailer out the back, you can use the compressor on that as well. This will inflate these tyres pretty quickly. For example, we were driving in some sand the other day and we took the tyres down to about 18 psi. To get them back up to about 38 psi, a compressor like this will do it in well under 10 minutes. So it's a very fast unit. And certainly the real attraction with this compressor is it's a very high performance unit, but it's nice and compact as well. So it certainly fits under the bonnet of even some modern vehicles. And even in the storage case like this, it still doesn't take up a lot of room in your vehicle. So it's a very good all-round package. The compressor over here is a bigger unit. It's basically a twin motor version of this air compressor, and as you would expect, the performance is about double. Now, as well as being a lot quicker, where this unit really comes into its own is when you match it up with a small air storage tank like this one, you then have the ability to use the compressor to run things like air tools. So the sort of accessory you could use with that compressor are things like a rattle gun, an air ratchet, or things like an air blow gun as well. I mean, it actually comes with a little air gun, and that's great for dusting off things like your air cleaner after you've been driving on dusty roads. The other thing I really like about the bigger air compressor is how easily it'll reseat the tyre onto a rim. We had a situation a few months ago, we did a four-wheel drive trip up into the Simpson Desert, and we had a very heavily loaded Land Cruiser 200 series. We were driving through the sand and the tyre actually came right off the rim. Both sides of the bead completely broke on the rim. So we had this situation that normally you'd actually have to remove the tyre and fit the spare. But because we had this compressor, we were able to actually use that to fully reseat the bead, and it did it very quickly. Now the small unit will do that as well. You've just got to be a little bit more creative in terms of how you do it. If you are resetting a tyre onto a rim, it's good to have a little bit of lubricant you can use, and also some way of actually compressing the tyre. We actually used a ratchet strap to actually compress the tyre, so when the air went in there, it just aided it popping back on the rim. So certainly that compressor does that very easily, but this one is capable of doing it as well. The other benefit of the bigger air compressor is when you've got oversized tyres on your vehicle. The Jeep we've got with us has got 35-inch tyres on there. Again, this compressor will do it, this one will do it twice as quick. Now, when you're shopping for an air compressor, it's very important that you actually have a look at the specifications of the compressor. You'll find a lot of the cheaper air compressors on the market, they'll deliver a fairly reasonable volume at low pressure, so when you're inflating things like an air mattress or even a dinghy. But what absolutely kills them is when they start trying to inflate at high pressure. So obviously with tyres, you know, you might be taking your tyres up to 40 psi if you're taking them back up to road pressures, and those cheaper air compressors, in worst case scenarios, they'll overheat, they'll have smoke coming off the motors, and you'll basically kill them. You need to look at a compressor that's specifically designed for tyre inflation. That's the first thing. Have a look at the specifications and look at those tyre inflation times. And if possible, have a look at some independent tests that have been done on the compressors. A lot of the cheaper ones that are coming in now, quite frankly, the specifications that they're printed on the packaging are grossly exaggerated. So look at some of the tests that have been done in some of the four-wheel drive magazines where they've done back-to-back comparisons of the compressors, and you'll get a far more accurate indication as to the compressor's performance. A good quality air compressor like this one will deliver about 60 litres per minute at about 30 psi, and then this unit here, like we said earlier, is about double that. Something that's very, very important if you're actually going to mount the compressor under the engine bay or something like that, and again, both of these compressors can be vehicle mounted, is to make sure the compressor is very, very well sealed. Obviously with dust and water splashing around under there if you're going through river crossings, it's very important you don't actually get any of that into the compressor. So again, make sure the units are very well sealed. And make sure the compressor's got a decent warranty, and more importantly, that warranty is backed up nationwide. So if you are unfortunate enough to break something or something else goes wrong with the compressor, you know you haven't got to take it too far to get it repaired. A good quality air compressor should be part of everyone's four-wheel drive kit. Just make sure you look around and buy a unit that's going to last the distance.